Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1792. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Fremont, California with a very special guest by the name of Alex. He's also known as Sharky Ross. Alex, welcome to Cars Yeah. Are you, I should say it this way. Do you have any gear and you ready to release the clutch?
Yeah, I don't like PDK that much, so I'm happier with three pedals.
I think
Hey,
you
Mark.
are. And we're going to be talking about a marque that my listeners know are near and dear to me, Porsche. But before I give you a proper introduction, Sharky, what's one little thing that most people may not know about you?
I do like other cars other than Porsche, believe it or not. I like a lot of the 90s Honda type of cars and Lotuses. So I bring with me. I'm from England, so I have dabbled in some of my less reliable, less dependable, but nevertheless fun cars from England, Jags and Lotuses and things like that. So people assume I only drive Porsches, but I do actually own and have driven, and I'm in love with other cars too. So
well, that's always good to know. I know people know me for my love for Porsche and BMW, but I always say if it rolls on rubber, I probably like it. So, bikes or cars or trucks or whatever it might be. But my first British car was a Lotus 18 when I was racing vintage cars.
Wow.
So that was my first experience with owning a British car. But my dad had a 49 TC, so that's the one that got me into this when I was a little boy. So
nice. I still have a Lotus, a 1970 Lotus Europa.
Ooh.
So I don't know if people know what that is, but it's basically, if you look it up, it's like a miniature British El Camino, maybe. That's what I would...
It's a very unique looking car, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's made out of paper mache. It only weighs about 1,300 pounds.
Colin Chapman was known for that, right?
Yeah, he was known for killing his drivers.
Well, that's why I got rid of my Lotus 18. I felt like I was going to die in that thing. I never felt safe in that car. Just fuel tank over my legs, little tiny thin tubular frame, and shoulders way above the lower bar. I just never felt good in that thing, but it was fun.
It doesn't feel good when you have like a Nissan Titan pull up next to you on the 101 or whatever. Yeah, no, I agree.
That's a tiny little car. Well, let me give you a proper introduction. We're going to dive into your life here. Alex, also known as Sharky Ross, owns and operates Shark Werks. That's Shark, W-E-R-K-S. Those of you who love German cars know what I'm talking about. A Porsche-focused business that he founded in 2005. What started as a passion with a Porsche 996 TT, he purchased after selling his tech business has grown into a passion of designing and building some very serious cars. He and his wife teamed up with James Hendry, a talented engine builder and engineer, and they had a focus on the Porsche GT3 platform. They design and build their own parts along with other high-end manufacturers and sell to enthusiasts around the globe, including some very famous names. Their 3.9-liter and 4.1-liter, oh, be still my heart, GT3 engines have been lighting up Porsche cars everywhere, and you've probably seen them playing with Jay Leno and Joe Rogan, that other podcaster guy, in a multitude of online and print automotive publications for over the past 15 and a half years. We'll be back in just a minute to talk with Sharky, but first a word from our valued sponsors to make the show possible, so sit tight. We'll be right back. One of your vehicle's interior surfaces that gets a lot of abuse is your dashboard. The sun beats down and those damaging UV rays cause massive heat cycles, resulting in color changes and sometimes cracks. My friends at Covercraft have a great solution for you and for me. Their custom-tailored dash mats protect your dash from heat buildup while providing a stylish solution. You can choose from a variety of styles and colors, including carpet, suede mat, that's the one I have for my vehicles, Carhartt, limited edition velour mats, and the Ultimat for trucks and SUVs. Another great benefit of your Covercraft dash mat is that it eliminates the harsh glare the sun produces from your dash to the inside of your windshield, which can make driving a hazard. Covercraft's Dash Mat Design Center is located in Arizona, where they know about harsh sun. I've got a special deal for you. If you use the code YEAH21, YEAH21 at covercraft.com, you'll get 10% off your Covercraft order. That's right, 10% off. Just use the code YEAH21 at checkout. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. Most people don't think about their collector car insurance until their annual premium becomes due. Well, why wait and see if there are better options for your beloved rides? I didn't. Did you know if you change carriers before your policy runs out, your insurance company has to refund you the unearned portion of your policy premium? I did my homework, I shopped around, and I found American Collectors Insurance. And that's who protects my Porsche Turbo. That's right, the one I call my Orange Crush. They've been protecting collector vehicles since 1976. I encourage you to call my friends at American Collectors Insurance. Ask them about their agreed value policy. And if your collector vehicle is on your regular auto policy, you will be shocked at the savings, not to mention the assurance, should something bad happen to your ride, that you'll get what your vehicle is actually worth. Give them a call today for a quote at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. Tell them you're a friend of Mark Green at Cars Yeah! American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. Automotive enthusiasts just like you and me. That's American Collectors Insurance. Give them a call today. All right, Sharky, so let's dive into the corner a little deeper here and have you talk a little bit more about this business that you've developed and what it's become. It really started with a passion, but it's become real.
Yeah, it started on a garage floor in San Jose, and actually with a friend of mine at the time that was a competitor to me in the tech journalist industry, let's put it that way, in the 90s and early 2000s. We used to write about video games and graphics cards and computers, and we would overclock them. We would try to get better performance out of them. And mine became successful, and I sold it at the end of 99 and 2000, and I bought a Porsche 996 Turbo with it after I bought some Jags, but we won't get into that. And I made friends, with this person, Dan, who works for me now, and he was very much into the underground. How do I put it? The underground Fast and Furious drag racing scene.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and he knew a lot about making cars go faster, and it was a similar principle to computers with, tuning them and, giving it more boost and, more timing and things like that. And so him and I started playing with my 996 Turbo and trying to beat some people on the track and other places. And, it sort of went off from there. And then I started to realize, I really enjoy driving the car up in the twisties in Northern California. I lived near some mountain roads. And then, furthermore on the track, Thunder Hill or Buttonwillow Raceway, those kinds of places. But I realized it was all-wheel drive. It was kind of clunky, funky, going into turns and understeering. So, I started experimenting with putting different suspension on this and that. And I started putting it online for people to see in the early days of forums. Mm-hmm. And, I was getting some good results. I helped organize a couple of, twin turbo Porsche shootouts, if you will, with 10, 12 different cars from all over the country and different tuners. And I entered mine in and I won a few of the events. And after that, a lot of people were like, hey, can you do the same thing to my car? And my wife was like, yeah, just not on my 2-car garage floor.
Yeah, not in the living room, dear.
Area. yeah, not there. So, I started looking in and trying some different places in the Bay Area. And I sort of met James in about, I think it was 2008, 2003. He'd been working on a lot of air-cooled, Porsches for years and taking apart Porsches and cars for a long time before that. He was self-taught, really. But he didn't seem to be afraid of doing stuff on the 996 Turbo, and he seemed really excited and into it. And we just became friends. And I think we had the first 996 Turbo to break into the 10s in end of 03, which was, back then that was a big deal.
Oh, sure.
But now, I think a Camry can probably do that almost.
Or a Tesla.
Tesla. Yeah, Tesla. Definitely a Tesla.
Yeah.
And so we hit it off pretty well. I was still retired from having sold my business, but I decided, I watched him. He was like a master at doing everything. I could see that really early on, and I wanted to learn from him as well. And we started building cars for people with a proper shop, and we called it Shark Werks because it's been that name was the word shark. I'm into those, obviously, in a big way, and I used it on a football pitch when I was growing up as a kid, and I used it as my company magazine, if you will, for the tech industry, and it was good to me. So we used it instead of Boring Auto Works. We called it Shark Works. And I think on the second day we started getting calls for 928 owners because they're known as the Shark.
Yeah.
But we didn't work on them. We were like, sorry, we just do 996 turbos at the time.
Oh, cool.
And and then it became word of mouth and internet, and very, very soon the GT3 the 997 GT3 came out, like in end of 06, and we ordered a RS, and we changed focus from big horsepower 996 turbos with 800 horsepower to a more visceral, more exciting way of driving, which the GT3 takes care of that. Nothing against turbos, but they have this big hammer, and usually understeer and delay and lag and all kinds of other things that make it a little more challenging.
I understand.
So so that's how Shark Werks came about, and I still James is there, and Dan actually joined a few years later. I hooked up with him again. He was in Washington, and he was done with writing about computers and video games, and he's like, yeah, I'm still into cars, so let me come help you. So that's what happened.
This is a really cool story because it's a story of taking your hobby, your passion, and turning it into a career, which really wasn't what you started to do.
No.
But I know what you're talking about. I had a 993 C4S for a while. Yep. It was my daily driver, but after I had it for a short time, I really was going, I wish I'd bought an S. I don't like the way this drives in certain aspects with the front wheel drive, and I made a big mistake, and I looked forever for it, bought it very low miles out of Texas, and I liked it, but I wish I had gotten an S. When you think about this business that you've built, is there any one aspect of this business that is your favorite part of it?
It's changed over the years. When we started, it was very fun to be first. For example, like we got into the 10s, or we were first with a new Bilstein suspension, or we were first with a Brembo brake kit, or we were first with doing an engine for a GT3, a big bore engine. Those were exciting, but now the longer we've done it, I feel like we've learned so much by all the cars that we've owned as a team, that we've made all the mistakes, we've done all the different modifications and gone down all the rabbit holes for people. And so I feel like now it's pretty satisfying 9 times out of 10 guiding someone and saying, you don't actually have to do that to your car. That will be a detriment to the car. You don't need to spend money there. Don't. Maybe do this instead. Having just had a history with the car and having the brand in general, but getting to know it well enough to where I think people know, when they call us, they're not just going to, bang their credit card. They're going to get a pretty comprehensive overview of what their car could or shouldn't do, and what it can get better at.
Are most of the cars you're building track cars for people to take out and go fast, or is it a combination of track cars, street cars?
It's a combo, I would say, because we do a wide range of things. I mean, we also do 964s, and those we set up specifically to mimic what we did with mine, where it's a canyon bomber, if you will, right? So it has compliant suspension, but it's lowered and tight. And it revs well with a 3.8 engine that James built, and lightweight flywheel, which is it's a signature of all the cars we do. We always have lightweight flywheels because we like responsiveness and big bore engines and things like that. So we do a wide range.
If only I had known you back when I had my 964. I love that car. It was great.
Yeah.
And it was a really fun car. It was my daily driver, but I take it to the track and have fun with it, throw some slicks on it and stuff. But to have that kind of a power plant.
To be honest, and don't take this the wrong way, but I think compared to the 993, it was it was definitely a much simpler platform.
Oh, sure.
And in a way, I think it was closer to the older air-cooled cars in terms of feel. The 993 has this weird, the kinematic toe, which we won't get into, but we won't get into that. But it has a weird disconnected feel and a little bit of 996 in it as well. It's in terms of the interior. It's just, it's not I know it's very controversial. Not my favorite shape either.
No, a little heavy on the ends, but I had come from a 74S into a Carrera, 84 Carrera cab that I had for a year when I was living in San Diego, and just drove it with the top down all the time back and forth to work. And then when I was moving up to the Pacific Northwest, I went, this convertible is not going to work because that thing was not waterproof. Those old cabs did not handle massive water. They just finally started giving up. And so I sold it and bought that Carrera 2, and I liked it. It had been special ordered by somebody at the Porsche factory, so it had all sorts of cool mods. It looked like what was the RS America? It had the cup wheels, cup mirrors. It had been lowered. They had taken off one of the exhausts, so it sounded like almost like a small block V8. It just had I'd pull up to Porsche events, and people go, "What do you have in the back of that thing? That doesn't sound like
nothing. I got no muffler."
I loved it. It was my neighbors. I woke them up when I left for work early every day, but that's okay. They've been used to me. I've been here long enough. Let's talk a little bit about who's helped you in your life as far as being a mentor, someone that's brought things to you and helped you move forward. You were very successful in the tech industry and a business and selling it. And now your hobby turns into another successful business. Go figure. All it takes is hard work, right? So did you have somebody who was an advisor?
I have to say, this will sound cheesy, but, coming from London, England, and I went to a very fancy academic school. So the result of that was don't think too big and don't try to do something out of your scope. But as soon as I moved to the US in the late 90s, I felt like a lot of doors were open. I felt like I did not have to be born into something, and I really could just explore my passion. And, there weren't a lot of people doing what I was doing at the time. I mean, I would go to the drag strip, which is shock horror with a 996 turbo. And, they're like, what are you doing here?
Why are you here?
Why are you here? Yeah, go home. And, there weren't a lot of tuner shops at the time. And the ones that were around didn't have, I don't know, they were focused more on the air-cooled stuff, because the 996 was the real big change from air-cooled to water-cooled, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of the shops were very against the 996, and a lot of the Porsche owners actually looked down on them too.
Blasphemy.
At the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always like that though. But now Porsche owners, yes, exactly. But so I didn't really have anywhere to go and explore my passion. There were a couple of people, like I said, like James, that I could see, wow, I bumped into someone who's really just really unafraid to explore and take these engines apart. To him, it's just Lego without instructions.
That takes talent. That's talent.
Yeah. But it reminded me sort of what Dan and I were doing with computers. Nobody really taught us, and we were building hot rod computers. And it's not as expensive when you blow up a computer versus a car, generally, if you push the performance too much. But, James was never concerned about it, and there's nothing he can't fix. That's what I realized pretty early on. So I just kind of said, okay, well, he's got my back. So, I have some funky ideas of how I want to set up a car. And usually the journalists and or customers that drive my car like, man, I really want my car to be like that.
Well, you've had a lot of test time on that platform.
Yeah, there's a lot of good roads here. But going back to mentors, I mean, I would say probably my mom, my wife, who's also very much an entrepreneur. She was a video game developer and she worked in television.
Cool.
Stuff like that. So, she was very encouraging. In fact, she helped me install the nitrous lines into my 996 turbo and bought some, really expensive race brakes for my shootout and helped me install those too.
Wait, you said nitrous lines into your 996? Oh,
yes.
Boy.
Yeah. That was very... Well, it was just to spray the intercoolers. I wasn't putting it into the engine, but I had a fancy system to spray the intercoolers and keep them cool with nitrous. But it looked cool because I'd pull up at the drag strip and before the light went red, I'd be spraying them down and people would be like, "Oh, what's going on here?
What is he about to do?" Well, you touched on a key thing, and that's having some powerful and great women in your life. Having come off of Women's History Month here on Cars Yeah with 23 great women on my show. And I married a very smart woman who keeps me on my toes all the time. Mom always said, marry someone smarter than you. I think it was a trick, but I did it. So it seems,
I definitely did the same thing.
Yeah, seems to have worked quite well. But yeah, like me, you probably are reminded things you don't even have the pleasure of remembering you did wrong. So
yes,
that's part of the drawback there.
Yeah. She's usually right.
Yeah. Well, I always say, is she in the other room? She might be listening. My wife's always right. Always right,
yes,
Sharky.
Always.
Right, dear?
Always. Except about how stiff the suspension should be in the car.
Yeah.
She's not right about that.
Yeah, no.
Or how stiff the clutch pedal is.
There you go.
She's wrong about that.
Absolutely. How would you advise somebody who wants to get into a career or business like you're doing? What kind of advice would you give them? Encouragement?
I think, these days you can read a lot of, research and read a lot online, that wasn't as available before. You can pick out some places or people that, inspire you or that you think do the type of work you want to do. And, try to follow in those footsteps. That's a nice way to do it. And obviously along the way, if you see something that doesn't agree with you, or if you find a better way to do something, do that. Don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah.
And, I was going to say too, is along the way in our journey, I just thought we were making Porsches go faster. But, I got to meet and befriend some, really great people later on in the journey of the shop. In like 2014, I started to become really good friends with Magnus Walker. And, he's someone that through the busiest, most notorious part of our media blasting, if you will, he was always there and always encouraging. And he's just, he's another level of,
he's the king of that.
yeah, exactly. And just going out and driving with him and having him drive our cars and putting a smile on his face, meant a lot to me.
Sure.
Yeah. And just sharing some cars and drives and going on Joe Rogan or Jay Leno, we sort of broke the internet one week early in the internet breaking days, early Instagram doing the GT2 together, having him paint 997 GT2, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
So
that's what the car thing's all about. It's the people.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you don't be afraid to try, your own version of what you think is right, and don't be afraid to fail. Because, it hasn't always been, successful. When I talk about blowing up cars, that's why we own our own cars first. And, we try on our own cars. And I've had plenty of things I've had to learn from by pushing our car too hard or, doing something not quite right. And that's, you learn from mistakes.
Absolutely. That's the best way to learn.
But if you have a shop, don't ever do it on someone else's car. Don't ever make a mistake.
That's not a good.
Only make mistakes on your car.
Yeah,
that's my rule.
The test bed. That's a good rule. That's definitely something you should stick to. Let's take a short break. We're going to give our sponsors a little love. We come back, I'm going to hit you up with a challenge question. So keep the seatbelts on, or in your case, the 4-point harness. We'll be right back. I've discovered Linkage. It's a new quarterly publication and website that covers the automotive market, driving, restoring, collecting, and discovering your passion for motor vehicles. Linkage is about experiences, opinions, and values. Linkage is an actual informed, reasoned opinion based on first-hand experiences. A talented Linkage team covers the automotive world, the people who share your passion and mine, smart, considered, rational, and experienced opinions, ones you can learn from and grow. That includes our passion that drives auctions and the collector car market. So come with me and join us on this journey. Join Linkage. Linkage, geared for the automotive life. Subscribe today at linkagemag.com. And don't forget to use the code CARSYEAH when you subscribe at linkagemag.com, and you'll get $10 off. What a deal. Hey, fellow inspiring automotive enthusiasts, did you know if you subscribe at carsyeah.com, I'll send you my free Filler Up book? It's an ebook filled with fuel, filler fun, and inspirational quotes from past guests here on Cars Yeah. Plus, you'll get a weekly wrap-up email from me every Friday, and your name will be in the hat for one of the many free giveaways here at Cars Yeah. Simply go to carsyeah.com and click on the free book button, and boom, you're in the club. And don't forget to subscribe to Cars Yeah on your mobile podcast app, and you'll get the Cars Yeah show delivered right to your mobile device every day, absolutely free. Inspiring automotive enthusiasts? That's what we're all about here at Cars Yeah. Thanks for listening. All right, I want you to share a big challenge with us today. Big failure. We just talked about blowing up motors. Okay, there you go, pushing things to the limit. I don't think you're afraid to do that. But share one situation that was really challenging for you. But the more important part of this story, what did it teach you, and how did you move forward in a positive way?
So I actually have two, but I'll be quick.
Okay.
With the first one, but the first one was trying to go for nines, trying to get a 9-second quarter mile in the 996 turbo. It was 50% done because by the eighth mile I was doing 114 miles an hour, and I started to hear things and see things on my laptop that weren't good. Yeah. But I decided, I'm really doing well. I think I should just keep my foot in there.
I'm almost there. I can see the end of the track. There. It's right there.
Needless to say, I did beat the Carrera GT in the other lane, but I finished at 114 miles an hour because it lifted the heads, and there was coolant and oil everywhere. So yeah. So what that taught me is don't push when you see something's wrong. Yeah. But also, things can be expensive, and it can be it can knock you for six, if you will. That was my first failure that really set me back in a bad way. It was expensive, and again, it was on my own car, so I had no one to blame. And James, of course, figured out how to make it all better. But I kind of gave up on the drag racing after that.
Wow. Yeah.
But my next one was on the 4.1, the blue and orange car that we're known for. There's lots of amazing press about it, and people have, Jay Leno's driven it and done a video on it, and Matt Farah and Joe Rogan, and all those people have, we've built a bunch, all around the world for people. We've built, a bunch of these cars now. But that car very nearly, it was a really challenging project at the time. I mean, I think I told Jay, you'd have to be stupid or a moron to take a factory GT3 RS engine at the time and, take it apart and build it as a 4.1 from a 3.8. And I was like, well, that's where we come in, right? So, already, we'd, what had happened was we built the previous generation 3.6 to the 3.9, and that had gone really easily and smoothly. And that was just a bore and a bunch of other stuff. This was a completely different scenario where we did a bore and stroke and a different crank and a whole bunch of different things. And perhaps we'd gotten used to our press releases from the 3.9.
You drank some of your own Kool-Aid.
Yeah, we definitely did. Yeah. And, we thought this is going to be great. And it wasn't. It took about almost 3 years and 8 attempts where we literally broke so many things in that motor. And each time it was just like, I can't do this anymore. Because every time you have to do a rebuild, it's like $20,000 at least,
of course.
In parts, gaskets, parts, right. All kinds of repairs. I think at one point, Dan and I wanted to take it to Burning Man instead of
burn it.
Burn it, yeah. We were so sick of the whole thing, but we never released it. We didn't really talk much about it. We just kept plugging away, and finally we nailed it, and it turned out great. And we look back and we saw all the different service bulletins that Porsche had for the 4.0 RS and the 3.8 RS, and we realized, wow, we've gone through all of this. We
already figured all that out.
We already figured all this out. So in hindsight, not only did we come out with a 4.1 where we pushed everything and, it's a great motor, but for all the guys with 3.8s and 4.0s, they know all the fixes that we do to these engines and future-proof them. So they just send us those cars now with all the engines, and we do all of those fixes that we do in the 4.1 for their stock engine, and then they have a car that doesn't have any failures.
Wow. So, I'm trying to think of the Porsche engineers, if they'd been around to watch what you were going through, whether they would have been in awe or would have been laughing of like, what are you trying to do here? But I love the idea that you fixed, because remember the 4.0, this was like a magic car, and then all of a sudden, something's not right with this thing.
Yeah, there were a bunch of things that went wrong. There were some added complexities to the Gen 2 RSs, the 3.8s, and then the 4.0 as well. And, things like cam adjusters and bolts backing out, pressure plates exploding, oil freeze plugs flying out, butterflies, getting sucked in, all kinds of things, like I said, that we had to address with our build. Oil pumps eating themselves. Yeah, that was a good one. Because as anyone knows that builds engines, or builds Metzger engines, the first thing you put into a case, or when you split case, is basically, after the bearings is an oil pump. So go to step 1 or 2 of the engine
Right.
when you have to repair it.
Wow.
So that proved to be. Actually, I'm glad we stayed the course. It was really difficult. It was really expensive. We probably lost so much money and time and passion for trying to do it. But in the end,
give up. That's the key.
No, we didn't give up. No, and then we were pretty stoked because once it was ready, once it was done, we got to drive around Jay and make videos with him and Joe Rogan and Matt Farah and just about every magazine you can think of.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I saw them all. It was spectacular. Very cool. So where do you go from there? I always ask guests about a bucket list item, accomplishments they want to still achieve in their life. Where do you go from that vehicle?
Yeah, that was actually a weird, tough transition, because we went from being what I thought was pretty out there with that car to the 991 came out, and they went away from the Metzger engine to a more, robotic, technically advanced, complex GT3 that was PDK only. And, they also found out they had some issues, trying to rev to 9,000 with that car. And
right.
It's an engine that we don't really modify beyond bolt-ons. So I felt like, we've sort of reached the end of our edginess, if you will, with the 997 line. But that's okay. We found our niche, and we focus on engine building for 997s and 996s and those GT3s and GT2s and turbos.
Yeah. So
we build those, and we don't build the 9A1 and above engine, which is what Porsche has in all their cars or variants of now. But they're I think that they've become so quick, so crazy technically advanced that there's not a lot of headroom left. I think that I know them, and I talk to them, and, I have an open, open door both ways with the head of the GT program of Porsche, and they've been really, really, how do I put it? They've been
open.
Yeah, actually, because
which is surprising to me.
Yeah, they've given me some advice about what not to do with the new cars, for example, because they know we share the same customers, and they know I might have some of the more crazy customers that they
you think
that they sell cars to. Yeah, possibly. And they've given me good insight, and they've also, looking back, I think they for the most part, enjoy what we did, and whether it's for the GT3s or later on, for example, one of the new cars that we went from, that I didn't answer your question, but after the 997 was the GT4. So of all the new cars that Porsche did, that was the one that interested me the most. And so we bought that, and we hunkered down and focused on that platform.
Nice.
And what they did there is they released a GT4 only, and it was manual, and that's why it was interesting to us. And what we did is we took Porsche's attitude, or their mantra for taking a regular GT3 and then making it an RS, which is, better gearing, a little bit more power, airflow, lightweight flywheel, and better aero. And that's what we did to our GT4. And, people dubbed it a GT4 RS, if you will. And, we built a ton of those. A ton. We probably built like 25 of those in the last 3 years.
That's a ton for a shop.
Yeah,
for sure.
I forgot. There's some Boxster Spiders. I didn't include those. So there's a few of those. And that was, so that was the next thing we kind of fell into. And at the same time, we had a renaissance with the 997 GT2 as well. I sort of went back and kind of looked at that car and got one myself, and we made that into a GT2 RS Extreme, if you will. So we did that. Yeah. So the factory, going back to the GT4, the factory didn't have a RS at the time, and for the next generation they do, and they'll probably. So we won't. There's no need.
There'll be something next. I'm gonna crawl into your skull a little bit here. This is a question I'll bet no one's ever asked you before. If you woke up tomorrow and you were manifest as a vehicle, this isn't what you want to be. This is your personality, who you are in some kind of a vehicle. What would you be and why?
Ooh, I'd want to say maybe a 4.1 GT3 RS engine trapped in a Lotus.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I wish.
Oh wow. Oh, a guy that's about to have a very serious accident.
Or be on the edge. No. I think or maybe in an NSX. How about that?
That works a little better. Yeah.
How about that? Okay. Something different. And actually, James has a project that I wish I was. If he's got a Beck 904. Oh, I don't know if you know what that is.
I know what that is. I had a Beck Spider.
There you go. Yeah, he's had plenty of those. I had a Speedster as well from them. But yeah, he's got a Beck 904, which is a 904 replica.
Yep. Yeah.
And he has a Hot Rod 993 engine that he's built. So yeah, that's probably something. I'd probably come back as something like that.
That put a smile on Chuck's face, considering he's a guy that put a Lamborghini engine on a motorcycle. So very cool. John Wilhoit built my Beck and used all Porsche parts, which is cool. It was a long time ago before he had his marvelous 2.2 motors that he's putting in. But he did take an actual 56 Speedster engine and boarded it out and dual carbs, and he made it pretty cool. That car was fun. My son and I, he was 8 at the time, flew down to Long Beach, and we drove that all the way back to Gig Harbor up the coast. It was a wonderful, wonderful drive. Is there a book that you've read, perhaps, that you might want to share? Something that you've learned a lot from?
Not specifically controversial, but I always liked things like The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, bit rebellious, bit sort of solo, a bit of an enigma, and a rule breaker here and there, or some of the stuff by Nick Hornby, like High Fidelity or About a Boy. Those are all books that I read growing up, and Lord of the Flies too.
Well,
that sort of taught me everything I needed to know about business, I think.
About business. And then if you look at last year, some of the chaos in the world, Lord of Flies, coming to real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Little bit crazy.
It had all the subtle warnings and all the training I needed. The London School of Economics taught me a bunch, but it didn't teach me the real world stuff.
No, never does. Absolutely. Yeah. We'll take another quick break. We come back. I'm going to take you on the ultimate drive. So keep the seatbelts on. We'll be right back with Sharky. Have you looked under your hood recently? The average car today has more than 70 computers and 100 million lines of code. Today and tomorrow, being a professional technician requires an understanding of technology, computers, and electrical systems that are highly advanced and very complex. Cars Yeah! is honored to support TechForce Foundation as our charity of choice. Their efforts to help young people pursue a technical education and a fulfilling career as automotive techs is the key to an inspired life. Through scholarships, grants, and good old-fashioned hands-on experiences with vehicles, TechForce and Cars Yeah! are working together to connect young people with viable careers. Join us and learn more by visiting techforce.org today. Did you know that Cars Yeah! is in the top 1% of all podcasts based on listenership, according to Libsyn, the premier RSS feed for podcasts in the United States? That's right. And Cars Yeah! is the only 5-day-a-week automotive-focused podcast for you to get your message into the ears of thousands of listeners daily from all over the world. Plus, DuPont Registry recommended Cars Yeah! is one of their top 10 car podcasts for you to enjoy. Cars Yeah! has experienced tremendous growth, plus your ads are evergreen, meaning they never go away. And more listeners find Cars Yeah! every day for their daily dose of automotive inspiration. Do you want to expose your brand to a highly targeted list of automotive enthusiasts in a very unique in a very personal way? Well, I can help you. Contact me, Mark Green, at mark@carsyeah.com or through the website at carsyeah.com today to learn more. All right, I'm going to wave a magic wand, which I have here at Cars Yeah. I've had it for a long time. I can do all sorts of cool things with it. In this case, for you, Sharky, you can pick the car, but you have to pick a companion to go with you. I want to know who's going to be driving and what are you going to be talking about?
Ooh, okay. Well, I've driven with some very fun people before in some fun cars. Yeah, no, I have. And I've been driven very quickly, rapidly in some of our own builds with some fun people. But if it's somebody that's deceased, it would probably have to be someone like James Hunt.
Oh, now we're getting even crazier.
Yeah, I think James Hunt in either in a Mini Cooper from the 60s.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
And probably just listening to him talk and watching him drive on the way to the pub, that would be probably all I need. And if not that, so. then probably Senna in my NSX. That would be nice too.
Oh well, there's that great video of him in that Senna with his footwork.
Loafers.
Yeah, just amazing stuff. Senna is a hero of mine. In fact, I got a quote of his on my business card. The past is just data. I only see the future.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes.
But Hunt in a Mini Cooper, very interesting combination. I like that. And you're going to need to go to the pub. You're going to need a drink after that.
Well, I would have said a Lotus or an MG, but I want to get to the pub. So
well, there you go. There you go. I'll never forget the first time I took a drive. I was in college, living in Pacific Beach, and this roommate of mine had a friend with a real Mini Cooper, and he took me to the drive up to Mount Soledad, which is up this windy road up to the top of overlooks the beautiful coast in La Jolla. And I'm like, holy cow, what is this thing? And he goes, well, here, drive it back. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, I thought it was kind of a joke when he pulled up. I knew about him, but I didn't know that much about him at the time. Oh, my gosh. Massive honors on that one. Very cool.
Well, and if you ever get the chance, I will say this, but one of the weirdest drives I had was, imagine, if you look online, you'll see a bright blue with orange wheels and a huge wing GT3 RS. Driven with a very, unmistakable Jay Leno in the driver's seat and me in the passenger seat stuck in traffic on the 5 on a Friday afternoon. You can't imagine the stuff I heard. So that was a pretty interesting drive.
Yeah, that's the last place you want to be when you're in that car.
Well, we did get into the canyons later. Well, that was fun too.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you've taken me on a really fun ride here. I knew this would be a blast, and I was really excited to get to talk to you. And I want to do a shout out to Emily Loudermilk, who's been a guest on the show. She's the one who introduced me to Alex Sharky. She said, you got to have this guy on your show if you love Porsches. And I've known about you for a long time, so I'm very appreciative that she
was an apprentice with us a few years ago.
Yeah, so wonderful young woman. Yeah, really sharp. Yeah. Sounds like she's having fun. Before I let you go, do you have maybe some parting words of wisdom or guidance for us?
Oh, yeah. As anyone would probably tell you that's worked in the car industry, just try to be honest and try to learn from the mistakes, because there will be many. And, just remember that we're supposed to be having fun. And it's fun for, if you're into cars, which, obviously you are,
a little bit,
and we are, just always keep it fun and keep it sunny side up. There's always someone faster. There's always someone faster. So leave that alone.
Don't drive into the corner too deep like the guy in front of you and hit the wall like he does.
No, don't do that.
Drive your own line, as I was told when I was racing vintage cars. What's the best way for people to follow you and learn more about you?
We have a fairly active Instagram account, I guess. So people can go there, or just sharkwerks.com. And our Instagram account is just Shark Werks. And then, you'll see some of the weird projects we're doing, whether they're, local or for someone in another country. And, there's usually videos or whatnot. And otherwise, you can just Google Shark Werks, Magnus Walker, Jay Leno, Joe Rogan, that kind of stuff, and you'll see some fun stuff.
You'll spend a lot of time there. Pour yourself a tall drink because it's going to be fun. And I remind you, Shark Works is Werks.
We like to make it difficult for you. That's right.
Difficult way. Absolutely. Sharky, this has been so much fun. I'm so grateful for you to spend some time with me. Yeah, you're welcome. I hope we get to cross paths again sometime. You can take me for a ride in a canyon or one of those insane builds of yours.
That would be fun.
Take my breath away would be cool. I appreciate you spending time with us today and sharing your amazing experience and successes. This has been great. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
I'll see you down the road. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.